This is the eclipse week. There is a separate video already for the eclipse itself. And the eclipse is on March 3rd. It is a total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it will be right there about 12 degrees. Virgo energy. 12 degrees is institutional energy. Keep that in mind, folks. Public figures. Virgo is very logical and practical. And because it's an eclipse in Virgo, that means that Mercury is very important. Mercury is the ruler of this total lunar eclipse. This video for this week then talks about the days after the eclipse. Eclipses can stay hot. They stay activated. Things from the past. And these really karmic, horrible cycles around desires and value for who? The elite, the wealthy, the royalty, right? The people who are just so powerful. With all that said, Mars is now in Pisces this week. This is a big deal because Mars is going to move as this week goes on. Mars goes about 4 or 5 degrees. It will be conjunct the North Node. So Mars takes action. I am praying because it's Jupiter as the ancient ruler of Pisces, that it will be justice, the judicial system, that some sort of action will be taken. Hopefully this is with the ICE agents as well, with the Department of Homeland Security. Hopefully there is a reorganization, elimination, however you want to look at it, just something different. I mean, other than, of course, it can be boots on the ground in other locations across the world. And we know that this administration is doing that too. It's a collective experience. And as the collective raising their awareness over it, we can't not talk about this. And it's gotten to the point where you just can't ignore it any longer. The elephant in the room has taken a shit everywhere. There's nowhere to step without stepping in piles of elephant shit. You follow? So it's like that's where we're at. Venus is at the center of it all because of desires. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, again, the desire energy and our values, who and what we value, this is the kind of thing where if we don't get this figured out as a collective, where is like that moral compass and what is okay and what is not okay? Values, who we value, what we value, desire, peace, beauty, harmony, and at what cost? Money, greed. At what cost? Like this is this Venus energy in Pisces and revelations. And this is a hot time this week because of the eclipse, but also because Venus is conjunct Persephone, who is all alone, who feels very isolated, even more feminine energy, alone, isolated, feeling, like she's been taken far away from her family. Sounds interesting. Sounds like stories, sounds like some folks' reality, right? And so this is Venus conjunct Persephone this week. Venus will pass Persephone this week. Venus, I almost said penis. Venus will actually enter Aries this week, entering Aries. And so Venus entering Aries brings about a whole different kind of vibe. This is a feisty Venus, a very impulsive Venus. In the meantime, before we get to that, though, this Venus energy, we need to pay close attention to it because it is what Mercury is reporting on. It's the information that she's gathering about the backroom deals, about, the higher ups, the powerful, the elite, Epstein. And if you don't keep it at the forefront and keep talking about it, because that's what the powerful want you to do, of course. They want you to look the other way. But you have to refuse and you have to keep it going. Epstein. When Mars, at the end of the week, touches on the North Node, again, this will be key because it's at 8 degrees. It's at the end of the week. All right. So we're talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, really. Remember, this is a very significant point. This is about the past, wounds of the past. Of course, tariffs and taxes, trauma, tragedy. This story is not just going to be front and center this week or the following week or the week after that. It will be slowly unfolding, which tells me that slowly the wheels of justice will take place. I just don't think it's going to take, I don't think it's going to be as fast as we want it to be. Actions taken in the past, abuses of their power. Yes, definitely this can be maybe something coming about for people who've worked for the institution in terms of carrying a weapon and maybe the DHS stuff. Okay. But hopefully it's more than that. Hopefully it's Jupiter and Mars working together and bringing some actions, whether it's lawsuits, maybe impeachments. I think that might be on the table. Impeachments for people who are in positions of power, because Saturn this week goes to 2 degrees. So it's really honed in on what the values are. What are the values of the people in charge, of society in general? And thank God countries around the world are setting the precedent. Thank God. And thank you from the bottom of my heart as an American. Thank you so much for being so serious and hearing, and immediately once the Epstein files dropped, like not even wasting any time in making arrests, like just go to it and starting investigations, doing whatever you got to do something, to get the ball rolling, to not just sweep shit under the rug and act like it's nothing. So I'm hoping that this Saturn at 2 degrees, very ruled, disciplined, thinking about the long-term future. When Saturn gets off of Neptune here, this is a good thing. It's pulled away and it is really focused on the values. It is strongly focused on desires and money and feminine energy as well, because it's Venus energy, right? Desires, beauty, peace, even. But because it's desires and money, we, there's also that natural resources. There's also, the rare earth mineral type of stuff and trying to secure, because it's Saturn in Aries. So when you have the Saturn in Aries and somebody in charge, hopefully we get what we would like to see in the real world, in the real tangible, as opposed to just all the frou-frou, stock market kind of stuff where it's just all for corporate and corporations. Once Saturn moves off of the 2 degrees and goes to the 3 degrees, then it's very serious negotiating time. Okay. So I will add that little piece in here that if we're in the middle of a shutdown still at this time, the Saturn hitting the 3 degree mark, it seems like Saturn's moving kind of fast, actually. She goes to 3 degrees like on the 11th. And what's interesting, on the 11th, that's when Jupiter will be going direct. So I feel like between Saturn and Jupiter, those two together are pretty powerful. And we could probably see if there is a shutdown for those who are affected by a partial shutdown or whatever they're calling it. Yeah, probably on the 11th, there will be a change. 4th through the 9th, I have this big triangle in here. Now, there's a triangle on the chart. It's an earth trine, but it's with Venus, because you've got institutional energy, practical, logical, the details, jobs, numbers, service industry and healthcare. You've got Juno, which is corporations, business partnerships, even long-term relationships, boss energy. A big earth trine is what we have. And it's with 2 big midpoints, a Jupiter-Neptune and a Jupiter-Saturn midpoint. So there's a big focus on the future here. A big focus on the future, on government, on corporations, but lawyers, the law, judges, and very, very serious building energy in general. Like if we don't take a hold of this now, we're in the energy of change, and we have to find a way to stabilize Taurus, all the earth energy, very stabilizing, all about building. So there's something here with this Venus energy and our core values connected to our stability in the world, right? Like our food security and jobs. There's a big connection happening. So this is complicated. I know there's a lot going on here, but the main thing is to just kind of, we're in a waiting. We're almost in a waiting, like I'm sitting in the green room right now. We're like in a waiting zone where we're just trying to figure out, okay, which way are we headed? Which way are we going? And hopefully we're headed in the right direction. That's the prayer here, that we're headed in the right direction. The other thing I want to really point out too, that's a big deal, is all the fire energy that we're still working with right here. There's a lot of fire. It's still prevalent. There's Chiron at 24, Eris at 24 in Aries, very feisty energy, very angry. Women who have not been heard, who never had a seat at the table, who are pissed about wounds from the past, right? We know about all that. We know what the hell that is. You see now it's conjunct, like exact conjunct, a Jupiter-Pluto midpoint of deep changes. So this masculine energy that Aries holds, the assertive, the aggressiveness, the, I rule over you type of thing, and your body is mine, I can do what I want type of thing. There's this combination of change on the menu. So I like this week's chart in that the eclipse signified a release, a let go, and an ending. That's what it signified. It was a rational, logical next step. It was because we were looking at the details and all the information. And so with Mars at the end of the week going to be conjunct the North Node, I feel like we are going to see some movement, some momentum, and hopefully it gives us more hope. Hopefully we have some confidence, because remember, the beauty about this week, other than the eclipse and change being a promise, is that Jupiter is still retrograding this week. And remember, this Jupiter is the ancient ruler of that Pisces energy. And Jupiter is considered the most auspicious, the most benefic, the most benefit-giving planet and protector when it's in Cancer energy, the public and women, home and family and the past, and cultural diversity and understanding, emotional, intellectual knowledge and wisdom, and combining it all, taking the past, the present, and the future, and seeing a way forward. That is the promise of Jupiter energy. So with it sitting here at this 15 degrees, we're in a countdown mode with Jupiter because the retrograde ends on the 11th. And the significance in that is that from now until the 11th, Jupiter is the strongest. And I am confidently hoping that with this Jupiter, it will somehow show us the wheels of justice are moving. There's movement happening. It's going in the right direction. It's happening in a way where we're feeling like, yes, finally. And I have been seeing that, and hopefully you have been too. But this is the time. This is the time, because this Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, it won't retrograde in Cancer anymore. Jupiter will be leaving Cancer in halfway throughout the year, and then it will go into the next sign. We will have Jupiter in Leo. Okay. And so that's going to change things quite a bit. And we really, really, for the benefit of the wounds of the past, of home and family and young children, if women don't gather together and protect other women and protect children, then who the hell will?